Well, hello there folks. It is a hot and sunny June afternoon here in Japan. I'm Peter Skov, this is Music is a Journey, and today I'm going to tackle two threads. Don't worry, I'm going to break up the video into two separate videos. So the first thread is for a new fella named Ed who's got a channel called On My Turntable. He has put out a few, well actually several videos so far, and he's starting to collect the subscribers, and he wants to get a little bit more recognition, get a little bit more people aware of what he's doing. And so he decided to start a thread about female musicians in the music scene. So we are to name 5 to 10 female artists, be they individual artists, singers in bands, musicians in bands, or even all-girl bands, whatever. 5 to 10 of those, and as well we must have seen one of them, at least one of them live. Now I actually have on my schedule a plan for next month to do a video entirely based on female artists. In fact, I'm planning to do 10 vocalists and then 5 musicians in that video. So I'm going to keep my plan for that, and I'm going to do something different, choose different artists for this video here, for Ed's thread. Now, I was thinking about it because I'd already worked very hard to pick who was going to be in my next video for next month. And I started thinking about, well, okay, none of those people in my next video are people I've seen live. So why don't I start with thinking about who I've seen live? And I started making a list, and after a while I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do a video based entirely on female artists that I have seen live. So here we go. First up, this is a band called Shonen Knife from Japan. They are a pop-punk trio. 3 women who started the band out in Osaka back in 1981, late 1981, and they got some attention during the late 1980s when a label owner from the US visiting Japan bought one of their records, brought it back, liked what he heard, contacted the band and said, "I want to release an album of yours on my label." Shortly after that, they came over to the US to do a show, and Kurt Cobain was in attendance at that show. And so for Nirvana's 1991 tour of the UK, just before Nevermind broke, Nirvana actually asked Shonen Knife to open for them during the UK tour. They enjoyed a lot of international success in the 1990s. However, by the end of the 1990s, one of the founding members, Michie Nakatani, decided she was going to quit the music scene altogether. That left the other 2 founding members, the sisters Naoko and Atsuko Yamano. So they continued on the band for a bit. Atsuko went from drums to bass, and then they started bringing in somebody else to play the drums. However, after a while, Atsuko also left to get married, and the band history continued on. However, I was going to do this like really nice big band history explanation, which apparently I've already started doing. But I've decided that I'm going to do a deep dive into Shonen Knife and do a Shonen Knife video a little bit later on, sometime during the summer here. So by the way, then, this is their album Brand New Knife from 1997. The music is described as being inspired by early 60s girl groups, the Beach Boys, as well as a lot of influence of bands like the Ramones, the Jam, Buzzcocks, that sort of 70s punk rock. So it's a mixture of those two things. They do have a lot of vocal harmonies, nice vocal lines, very catchy ones, but also the simple punk rock setup of guitars, drums, bass, and mostly 3 chords. I listened to this album for the first time in a very long time on Friday morning, and I found I liked it so much, I listened to it again. And after that, I spent my lunchtime on Friday checking out Shonen Knife interviews on YouTube, checking out some of all the material of theirs that I'd missed over the years. And I suddenly remembered that, hey, you know what, I really like this band. And so I started searching the flea market, and already I got the first new one in through the door. This is Shonen Knife's album Free Time from 2010. I've got another 4 albums from the flea markets on the way. Flea markets because I can't afford to buy new. So anyway, live, yes, I saw Shonen Knife live. I don't remember if it was 97 or 98, but I saw them live in Vancouver. I went there with some Japanese friends, and that was just a really fun show. I still have the t-shirt packed away in a box in the other room, and I probably have the ticket stub packed away in a box somewhere in the storage room there. But anyway, Shonen Knife from Japan, 3 women, doesn't matter who it is, there's always 3 women. Naoko Yamano has been the one sole member to exist, stay in the band right through all these years. So December 1991 December 1981 to the present. She's made a career out of this band. Shonen Knife, then another Japanese artist. I've talked about her before. This is Maki Yano, a solo artist. When I first came to Japan, she was one of the first Japanese artists that I heard new, someone I hadn't already known prior to coming to live here. And she actually released her first single only weeks, maybe even the same month that I arrived in Japan. So I have followed her career right from the beginning. She started out as more of a rock, kind of an Alanis Morissette inspired almost. That was one of her inspirations. Yeah, a little bit more of a rock, edgy rock, singer-songwriter, edgy rocks type style. But later on she went more into the adult contemporary female, a lot of slower songs and acoustic songs, and not quite to my taste, but I have never missed one of her studio recordings. Even when she went on hiatus for a long time, when I heard that she was releasing something, I got it. So I saw her perform 4 songs live for this album, Soba no Kasu. This is her second full-length album. I think we're going back to 2001 here, maybe, sometime around there. And I saw her perform 4 songs from this album live in Virgin Records in downtown Tokyo. Interesting story, I brought a camera to take pictures of her, and when I arrived, I saw there were signs saying no photographs. So during the show, I preset the exposure settings for the camera, I preset the focus, judging my distance from where I was standing to where she was. And when the security guards were all busy watching her perform, I quickly held up the camera, snapped a shot, and brought it down again. So in the end, I printed off 4 photographs, one from each of the songs that she sang, and I mounted them on special paper, colored construction paper, made them into like a nice little frame type thing, and I sent them to her, and she sent me a thank you letter in response, which I have packed away in a box in storage in there. So yeah, she was one of my favorites for a long, long time. And yeah, whenever I have the opportunity to mention something about her, I do. Later on, I think it was January 2001, I also saw her perform live in Shibuya. So that was really cool. Okay, so that's Maki Yano. Now we go to Canada for Jan Arden, who I believe is from Calgary. Jan is also the, actually in the 1990s we had a lot of these female singer-songwriter types like Sarah McLachlan, Susan Aglukark, Chantal Kraviazik, Alana Miles, Alanis Morissette too, I guess, and Jan Arden. So Jan is a little bit more of a mellower type, kind of mixing a bit of a country sound with a mellow rock sound. She had, let's see, from this album, Could I Be Your Girl, Demolition Love, Gasoline, Wonder Drug, and Good Mother. I think all of those songs were on the radio at the time back then, at least on the radio in Canada. So the album is called Living Under June. I'm going to say, I can't see, so I'm going to say it's around 94, I think it is. And I saw her performing live at Whistler Mountain one summer. They had music on the mountain. There's the bunny slope and the stage at the bottom, and she performed live there. And after her set, Colin James performed with his Little Big Band. I think it was with the Little Big Band. And I remember her being really an entertaining person on stage. She told humorous stories between songs. And I remember when she first came out on stage, she said after her first song that she had planned to come parasailing into the venue because it was, an outdoor venue. But she said, I'm on my period, and so I didn't feel comfortable wearing the harness. And it was just like, okay, Jan, thanks for sharing. So Jan Arden, I've always thought to get another one of her albums, but I just never have, which is really strange because I like almost every song on this one. She's a great singer too. Okay, I'm going to move over to Winnipeg now, and this is Holly McNarland. I just mentioned her earlier this year in a video about albums from the 90s, but this one back in the 90s, of course. This was her debut. It's called Stuff, and I think the songs Elmo, Coward, and maybe Numb were songs on the radio. I also liked The Box and Water, which I believe I talked about in that previous video. She is kind of an alt-rock style. It's a little bit like if Sarah McLachlan were a little bit more rock and a little bit more pissed off. Maybe something like that. So I got to see Holly McNarland perform live at A&B Sound, which is a music store, record store, cassette store in Vancouver, and I got her little scribble there, as well as a scribble here. I think one of her band members scribbled somewhere, so maybe he scribbled there and she scribbled here. But anyway, that's Holly McNarland. Then also the Rankin Family. Now this was a Canadian, like, traditional and folk group from Cape Breton Island, Nova Scotia. It was, there was a family of 12 kids, and 9 of them would move in and out of the family band. And finally, 5 of them in 1989 decided to form an official group called the Rankin Family. It was Jimmy Rankin, John Rankin, and the 3 ladies here, Raylene, Cookie, and Heather. I think it's Raylene, Cookie, and Heather. So they formed the Rankin Family. This is their 2nd album, Fare Thee Well Love. And I had a girlfriend at the time who really was into that kind of thing, so she had the first 3 albums on CD, and we went to see them live one time. I think it was the Queen Elizabeth Theatre in Vancouver. And the really cool thing about them was that the 3 ladies here, they would do that kind of river dance. You know, they would stand with their hands maybe just behind their backs a bit, and then with their long skirts, their feet would just move around doing a little like jig. It was just really cool to see, and yeah, they also told some nice stories in between the songs, and I always really liked, I think, 3 or 4 of the songs in here: Orangedale Whistle, Fair and Tender Ladies, Tell My Ma, and yeah, they got a couple of Gaelic ones in here too, songs in Gaelic, so I had to get my own copy of the CD. I'm not really a fan of this type of music so much, but this one left a warm impression with me, so got that one. Very sadly, they decided in 1999 to just take a break and do their own separate things, and then John Rankin drove a vehicle he was driving off a cliff by the St. Lawrence River, and that tragically ended his life. And then Raylene Rankin, I don't remember which one you are, but anyway, Raylene Rankin sadly passed away from cancer in 2012. So we are down to 3 of the original members. Jimmy Rankin has held a solo career for a long time, and I think Heather Rankin, whichever one of the 3 you are, has also held a solo career for many years. So that's the Rankin Family. Then one other group I've seen live, that is Spirit of the West, and at the time of this album here, they were a 5-member band, and 4 guys and 1 lady named Linda McRae. Linda appeared on bass, accordion, and backing vocals. She was with the band from 1988 through to 1996 and appeared on 4 of their albums. This is Faith Lift, which I think is from 93 or around there. The 3rd of the 4 albums she appeared on, and I saw Spirit of the West live. I believe it was the Vogue Theatre in Vancouver. Might have been the Orpheum though. Maybe one of them I saw Shona Knife, and the other one I saw Spirit of the West. I forget which is which, but one of those 2 popular venues down in Vancouver. So Spirit of the West with Linda McRae. Linda McRae has maintained a solo career since leaving the band way back then. Okay, and then there are 2 other artists I want to talk about. One is Shania Twain. I used to have her Come On Over album, which I actually quite liked. I think 4 or 5 of the songs I really thought were very good, but I just didn't listen to it for a long, long time, and after a while I thought, I probably don't need to listen to it, so I finally sold it off about maybe 10 years ago. But I had a friend, a Japanese friend, who really liked Shania Twain, and she asked if I would go to a concert with her. So we went to the concert together. We had seats maybe about 5 rows from the front of the stage, like the stage that came out a little bit, the kind of catwalk thing. We were about 5 rows from there. Or maybe it was 2. It was 2 rows from there and 5 from the actual stage front. So Shania would sometimes come out on that little catwalk part, and so my friend handed me her camera and said, take a photo of me. So she went up to the front of the stage and held up her hand, and Shania Twain touched her hand, and I snapped 2 shots. Now when my friend returned to Japan, she wrote a book about her homestay experience in Canada for 1 year and all her travels, and in that book she included a photo of herself and Shania Twain touching her hand. But the publisher said that they could not use the photo where Shania's face was angled towards the camera, just because she is a public, figure or a, popular artist, and there might possibly be a copyright issue somehow, somewhere. So we had to use the photo where Shania was turned away from the camera. So that was cool. And then one other one, it is Tatiana Shmiluk. I'm not sure of the pronunciation of her last name. She's from Ukraine, and she's in the band Ginger, which is described as a progressive groove metal band. I saw them open live for a German tech death band called Obscura. I saw them in Tokyo 2018, 2019, and I don't have any albums by Ginger, but I have this short video clip, which I have showed I think at least twice before, but it's been a while. So here we go. This is Tatiana and Ginger performing live in Tokyo.
Hold your
Okay, and that does it. So yeah, I will be doing a video about all female artists next month as well. Very soon I'll be doing a deep dive into an all women's band. Their new album is scheduled to come out on the 21st of this month. So once I have that, I will begin putting that video together. And now I have also been inspired to do a video on Shonen Knife. I will get a few more albums in through the door, and then I will work on that as well during the summer. So thanks a lot, Ed. Got my homework cut out for me. So yes, I will put the description in the description the link to Ed's original video, so you'll be able to see that, as well as you will be able to check out his channel and subscribe. Why the heck not? Everyone else is doing it. Okay, that's it for this one. I am now going to tackle my next thread for the weekend. All right, bye folks.